This week in the field, finding and using natural leading lines. Hi everybody, I'm Scott Davenport and welcome to In the Field. If this is the first time you're checking out the channel, thanks very much for giving me a shot. What we do here really briefly is I've taken some behind the scenes footage and thought about a recent photo shoot that I've done, and I'll share some things that either I discovered on the shoot or I reaffirmed for myself as good practices for landscape photos. And today is about leading lines. Now we hear about this all the time when you're thinking about composition. Find leading lines, have stuff that brings your viewer into the frame. And as a landscape photographer, we like to do that with natural lines. Now sometimes the lines are obvious and other times you have to think about what's going to be there as you have motion in the scene. Let me show you some footage from a recent outing I did at Sunset Cliffs here in San Diego and come back and talk a little more about the lines. Just got on location to Sunset Cliffs. It's a gorgeous afternoon. I can't believe it's December 29th and well, most of the country is cold. San Diego, actually really warm day, 75 degrees, sorry. Don't mean to make you jealous, but that's just how it goes. I get down to the base of the cliffs here pretty soon, meeting up with a couple other local photographers. Got a very low tide, so that should reveal some of the interesting rocks that are down there. So let's get to it. All right, nearly showtime. I had to hustle to get out here, get down to the base of the beach. We got some good potential for nice light in this little gap in the clouds there. The sun itself is getting swallowed up. I'm set up reasonably low, so kind of down here. I'm getting all this foreground interest, all of these bits of rock and the reflecting pools there. Kind of the waves and that rock are my midground, and of course a beautiful sky. I am angling upward a bit just so I can give a little more emphasis to the sky, because that is really what I'm hoping will produce the most color and interest in this shot. After that, it's aperture priority all the way, just tweak and dial the settings in as the light changes. I don't think I'm going to need a filter if I keep my aperture low around f13 to f16. So what you saw in the video was my foreground rocks, my midground rocks, and a pretty large amount of sand in between them. Now what you didn't see is me watching the ocean for 2 or 3 minutes before I started to set up. And the reason for that was I was thinking about what leading lines might get created based on what the ocean was doing. So here's the final photo I came away with, and you can see I used about a half a second or so of a shutter, and I'm getting these streaks of water in the middle here. Now those are lines, those are leading lines, and they're leading me to the sun. This triangular shape of rock here, that's leading me toward the sun. Even this wave is leading me toward the sun. I've got some lines of the ripples of the clouds that are kind of cutting across a diagonal, especially this little speckle of orange, that's toward the sun. And then the land masses themselves are also pointing toward the sun as well. This is something I talk about in my 10 tips for photographing seascapes book, how nature can help you with your composition if you just take a couple minutes and watch what it's doing. So the tip of the week is when you're looking at a scene, think about the portions of the scene that are in motion and how those might translate into leading lines. Either just over time you'll see certain cloud formations point in a certain direction, point in air quotes, or if you drag the shutter a little bit longer and get a half second, eighth of a second, 1 second, 2 second, however long it's going to be, those resulting lines will lead a viewer through the scene. So look beyond what is fixed and firm, like rocks or trails through a forest or trees or things, and start to encompass motion that might be present in the scene too. And that brings us to the end of another episode of In the Field. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, please let me know somehow. Social shares are always appreciated. Comments on the video are great. Questions, if you've got them, you can send them directly to me through my contact page. And until next time, my name's Scott Davenport. Happy shooting. Thanks very much for giving this a shot. Really briefly what we do here. Briefly. It's better than briefly.